This is the first time that I'm speaking about it. Something that I'll never forget.
A former assistant to Sean Diddy Combs speaking out in the new interview with new allegations about wild parties.
Hip-hop mogul Sean Diddy Combs, you know, the man who built his entire empire on pure charisma and hustle, now finds himself drowning in a tsunami of allegations, lawsuits, and leaked recordings that have everyone's jaws on the floor. Trust me, darling, every single twist in this story is more shocking than the last. So grab your popcorn, because what I'm about to spill will leave you absolutely speechless.
Did Phil explain why he's speaking out now?
He said he's speaking out because he believes Diddy's a predator. He wants accountability, and he doesn't want someone like this to run unchecked in the future.
Let me start with the headlines that have been setting social media on fire for months. Sean, or as we all know him, Diddy, Puff Daddy, or just Puff, has always flirted with controversy. But honey, this time it's different. This time we're talking about accusations that'll make your skin crawl, courtroom drama that puts your favorite Netflix series to shame, and leaked recordings that have literally split the entertainment world in two. And just when you think it couldn't get any more intense, the lawsuits keep piling up, each one more scandalous than the last. Everyone's asking the same thing. Has Diddy's perfectly polished empire finally crumbled under the weight of its own dark secrets?
He was responsible for Diddy's day-to-day life, so he is able to provide a lot of information about what that life was like. He goes into detail on extensive use.
But wait, it gets even juicier. The drama really exploded when a bombshell lawsuit hit Diddy's son, Christian King Combs. Now, Christian might not be as famous as his daddy, but this lawsuit dragged both father and son into a storm of controversy. We're talking seriously disturbing allegations about what went down on a yacht, and let me tell you, it's not pretty. While Christian faced direct accusations, Diddy himself was named for supposedly enabling the whole situation. And then, oh my goodness, came those shocking audio leaks that CNN got their hands on. The alleged victim claimed she was forced into unspeakable situations after being given a suspicious drink. This lawsuit sent shockwaves through Hollywood, not because it was Diddy's first brush with scandal, but because it was like opening Pandora's box. Once it started, there was no stopping what came next.
Began to take them down.
And I know you said he explained all of the items that were involved in these Wild King nights. Did he mention who would participate as well?
A lot of them were unknown to him. He did mention that a lot of the women were very, very young as 20, not underage, but certainly.
But honey, that was just the beginning. Things went from bad to absolutely catastrophic with Diddy's arrest in September 2024. The charges? They read like something straight out of a crime thriller. According to the Justice Department, and this is where it gets really wild, Diddy's business empire was allegedly operating like a full-blown criminal enterprise. We're talking everything from trafficking to racketeering. The prosecutors painted this chilling picture of a man who used his wealth and influence to control and manipulate everyone around him. They're saying he had this elaborate network of employees and associates working to keep his alleged activities under wraps. This wasn't just one or two incidents. We're talking about years, maybe even decades of alleged misconduct.
Wait a minute. Say that again. Say that again. Back up. You're saying that there's tapes and they're being shopped?
Yes, there have been people already shopping.
We've heard about the tapes, but
yes.
The shopping thing is
yes, there already have been tapes leaking around Hollywood, being shopped around to individuals in Hollywood. But one particular person contacted me to shop a particular video they were in possession of.
And then there are those leaked recordings that have everyone absolutely losing their minds. These aren't just any old recordings. We're talking about conversations allegedly involving Diddy himself and some of the biggest names in the industry, including Beyonce and Meek Mill. One particularly shocking recording supposedly has Queen Bey herself defending her presence at Diddy's infamous parties, claiming everyone knew exactly what they were getting into. Social media has been an absolute meltdown, with fans dissecting every single word, trying to figure out who knew what and when. For someone like Diddy, who's always controlled his image with an iron fist, these leaks are absolutely devastating.
It sounds like there was probably a lot of hidden cameras as well. Is that what is being talked about?
Yes, this was actually in his Atlanta home, at a home he had in Atlanta at one point. And it does seem that the person isn't like looking into the video, so to me, doesn't seem like that person knows they're being videotaped. it doesn't seem like they're active participant in the videotape.
Now, hold on to your seats because this is where things get truly bizarre. During one of the raids on Diddy's properties, authorities found something that'll make your jaw drop: an enormous quantity of baby oil. Yes, you heard that right. Baby oil. Now, I know what you're thinking. How scandalous can baby oil be? But darling, the whispers and rumors about what this seemingly innocent product was used for at Diddy's private gatherings have been circulating for years. One accuser has even come forward claiming that the baby oil played a central role in what she describes as ritualistic activities. It's the kind of detail that makes this story impossible to look away from.
Did in fact occur, their argument is more than likely going to be that this activity was consensual, that this person was a willing participant, and not only that, but that these individuals assumed the risk of being present at those parties, of engaging and voluntarily engaging in the conduct and being in those spaces, consuming alcohol and things of that nature.
Of course, we simply cannot ignore the allegations about what was really going on at these gatherings. Former assistants, insiders, and even paid companions have painted pictures that would make even the wildest Hollywood scripts seem tame. One former employee spilled the tea about being responsible for procuring various items, from luxury drinks to performance enhancers, all allegedly used during what some are calling themed nights. While these claims haven't been verified, they're feeding into this absolutely shocking narrative that Diddy's world was one where excess wasn't just welcomed, it was practically mandatory.
Expected.
A lot of times you have him with a younger female, and there's a power dynamic there. A more impressionable girl is easier to reel in. Consent is between the people that are engaging, and I wasn't there in these situations to understand the consent.
But here's what's really got everyone talking: the deafening silence from Diddy's celebrity friends. This is a man who's hosted everyone from A-list actors to actual royalty at his parties. Yet suddenly everyone's gone quiet as a mouse. Could it be that they're terrified of being dragged into this mess? There are whispers, and I mean whispers, that Diddy kept a vault of compromising material on some of the biggest names in show business. If that's true, it would explain why so many former party regulars are suddenly nowhere to be found. And speaking of shocking developments, let's talk about what's happening inside those prison walls. Reports from the Metropolitan Detention Center suggest Diddy's having a really rough time adjusting. One insider claims he completely lost it when he realized he'd be spending the holidays behind bars, while another says that's total nonsense and insists he's keeping zen with meditation and breathing exercises. Either way, can you imagine? The man who once lived in absolute luxury now has to fight just to get access to a laptop in jail.
We're monitoring another push to free Sean Diddy Combs tonight, with his legal team citing new evidence in an updated bail proposal. The music mogul agreeing to around-the-clock security and cutting out contact with basically anyone but his legal team to get out of jail ahead of his trial scheduled for May of next year for charges he allegedly coerced and abused women for years.
The courtroom scenes are absolutely theatrical. During one pretrial hearing, Diddy's legal team was practically begging for special treatment, arguing that the detention center conditions were making it impossible for him to prepare his defense. They wanted a laptop. Can you believe it? But the judge wasn't having any of it, basically telling him he's just like every other inmate. Talk about a reality check for someone who's used to getting whatever he wants.
Everybody familiar with the old Houdini? So what Diddy's lawyers are trying to do is pull a Houdini. They're trying to say that the evidence that they have is different. Well, it's not different. The video that the entire world has seen is not going to go away. The fact that he had parties that were freak-offs is not going away. So it's just a question of whether or not Diddy is
The media circus around this case is absolutely insane. Every single leaked document, every courtroom appearance, every new allegation becomes instant headline news. Documentary makers are practically falling over themselves to be the first to expose the real Diddy. But with so many wild stories flying around, it's getting harder and harder to separate fact from fiction. One thing's crystal clear, though. This case has forced everyone to take a long, hard look at power, privilege, and accountability in the entertainment industry. Despite the mountain of evidence piling up against him, Diddy isn't going down without a fight. His high-powered legal team, led by the formidable Mark Agnifilo, is working overtime to punch holes in the prosecution's case. They're claiming it's all hearsay and that those leaked recordings are being totally taken out of context. They're even trying to remind everyone about Diddy's charitable work, painting him as this flawed but ultimately good-hearted person. It's a strategy designed to win over the jury, but will anyone actually buy it?
At the courthouse in Lower Manhattan, the judge ordering the prosecution to turn over its findings from a jail cell raid, Diddy's jail cell, just yesterday. What were the contents of those raids?
Well, apparently, according to the defense, they're legal documents. The government saying no, on the contrary, they're just some handwritten notes and a calendar.
As we inch closer to that May trial date, the whole world is watching with bated breath. Will more bombshells drop? Will Diddy's celebrity friends finally break their silence? Or will we finally see one of hip-hop's biggest icons face the music? One thing's for certain, this story is far from over, and what comes next might be even more shocking than what we've seen so far. Diddy, once the undisputed king of hip-hop, a man whose very name was synonymous with success and swagger, now finds himself at the center of one of the most gripping legal dramas we've ever seen. And honey, the courtroom chaos isn't just about the allegations. It's about the people involved, the secrets being exposed, and the aftershocks that are rocking the entire entertainment industry.
So there's a few things going on. First is the privilege issue. The judge will decide whether the documents are privileged or not. If they're not, they're going to go to the government. If the documents are not only not privileged, but they're evidence of witness tampering, then a few things can happen, all of which are bad for Sean Diddy Combs. Okay. First, of course, he did face obstruction of justice charges in a superseding indictment.
Picture this scene. Diddy, who used to own every red carpet he walked on, now sitting in a courtroom surrounded by lawyers, judges, and spectators, with the weight of decades of accusations crushing down on him. Behind him, his family, his children, and even his mother, all there to show support. During one hearing, he actually turned around to blow kisses to his loved ones, a rare moment of vulnerability from a man who built his entire brand on being untouchable. But don't let that tug at your heartstrings too much. This is still a high-stakes battle for his legacy, his freedom, and possibly his entire future.
Yeah, they probably didn't see these notes, and they never will.
But if you're Diddy, don't you want your notes back?
Yeah.
If you've spent so many hours gathering evidence for your side or strategy or whatever, for me, I'd be like, oh no, please don't destroy, please return.
The pre-trial hearings have been absolutely dramatic. Diddy's legal team has been pulling every trick in the book to defend their client. They've been complaining nonstop about the conditions in the Metropolitan Detention Center where he's been held since his arrest. Can you believe they actually tried to argue that not having a laptop was making it impossible for him to prepare his defense? They're painting this picture of a man fighting not just the charges, but the entire system itself. But honey, the judge wasn't having any of it, making it crystal clear that Diddy isn't above the rules no matter how many hit records he's produced.
To fail.
Everyone keeps saying to me, how did you keep, why did you keep going? Why were you there? I'm like, it literally is around me. If I don't stay at home, this is the atmosphere I'm in. I have no choice.
But wait until you hear the absolutely chilling details Pines shared about what happened after these events. He described walking into rooms that looked like something out of a movie. Dim lighting, scattered items, and this eerie silence that hinted at the chaos that had just happened. Pines claims he was often left to clean up the mess, and we're not just talking about tidying up, we're talking about making sure there was absolutely no evidence left of what had gone down. It really makes you wonder just how many other people were involved in covering up what was happening behind those closed doors, and how long this went on before someone finally had the courage to speak up.
And he is very, very dominant. He wants to control the situation. He wants to control his inner circle. He wants to make everyone have a good time and enjoy his parties. And so, it is scary because you think, this person or possibly his social network or the people he's around could make or break your career.
But Pines isn't the only one pulling back the curtain on Diddy's private world. Another former associate, who's only being identified as Nathan, has come forward with allegations that are equally disturbing. Nathan, who says he was hired for specific services, claims these gatherings were anything but ordinary. He describes them as ritualistic events, where every single detail was meticulously planned and choreographed. But here's the creepy part. Nathan alleges that Diddy had this habit of watching everything from the shadows, using mirrors and other tricks to observe without being seen. Whether these claims are true or not, they've only added fuel to the fire, with everyone speculating about what really went down at these exclusive events. And let's not forget about those infamous tapes. While we don't know exactly what's on them, the rumors suggest they could include footage of some of Diddy's most high-profile friends and collaborators. Can you imagine the absolute chaos if those tapes ever get leaked? No wonder so many celebrities who used to be thick as thieves with Diddy are suddenly nowhere to be found.
I mean, that fact in in of itself is a big deal, because when you're talking about going back in time and talking about these allegations from other alleged victims, you know, there's not a lot of police reports, but you guys actually have one. And is that going to be revealed? Are we going to be able to see it?
Yes, as soon as I file my lawsuit in civil court, I will be attaching the...
Speaking of which, let's talk about this eerie silence from Hollywood's elite. Over the years, Diddy has been like a magnet for A-listers, forming connections with everyone from top actors to chart-topping musicians. But now that this scandal's exploding, crickets. Absolute crickets. Is it loyalty, fear, or something even more sinister? There's talk that Diddy kept this treasure trove of information, let's call it leverage, on everyone around him. If that's true, it would explain why so many are keeping their distance. After all, in a world where image is everything, nobody wants to risk getting dragged down by association.
Still pretty early in the proceedings. I think it's only been about a month or a month and a half since he's been arraigned and held in detention. And so the investigations are always going to be a continuous and ongoing process. I'm sure at this point there's been an exchange of discovery. And not only that, but I think there's been a gag order placed on the attorneys with information that they can and cannot share. But more importantly,
despite all these mounting allegations, Diddy's legal team is fighting back with everything they've got. They're dismissing many of the claims as completely baseless, arguing that the evidence presented so far just doesn't hold up under scrutiny. One of their main strategies has been to attack the credibility of the accusers, pointing out inconsistencies in their stories and questioning their motives. It's a classic defense tactic, but in a case this high profile, it's also incredibly risky. After all, public opinion can be just as powerful as any jury verdict, and right now the court of public opinion is not being kind to Diddy at all. And then there's the upcoming trial in May. It's promising to be one of the most watched legal battles in recent history. Prosecutors are expected to bring this mountain of evidence to the table, including witness testimonies, recordings, and maybe even those infamous tapes. Meanwhile, Diddy's defense team will be working around the clock to poke holes in the prosecution's case, trying to paint their client as a victim of media frenzy and opportunistic accusers. It's going to be a battle fought not just in the courtroom, but in the headlines, with every single twist and turn dissected by the public in real time.
No, I'm not surprised by the ruling because, as she cited in her order, there are very serious allegations about the danger that he potentially poses to other witnesses and the public at large. There are allegations that he has, been violent with others. He's also attempted to allegedly intimidate other witnesses and still contact witnesses while incarcerated.
As we get closer to the trial date, everyone's asking the same questions. What's next for Sean Diddy Combs? Can he possibly reclaim his throne as one of hip-hop's most influential figures? Or has his empire been damaged beyond repair? And what about the bigger picture? What does this mean for the entertainment industry as a whole? This case has already sparked intense conversations about accountability, power dynamics, and the dark side of fame. But will it actually lead to real change? Or will it just become another cautionary tale in the long list of celebrity scandals?
Both sides in the Sean Diddy Combs case have until today to give answers for how the music mogul has been communicating from jail. Combs appearing in court last Friday seeking bail while he awaits trial. He's been held at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn since September.
One thing's absolutely certain. The story of Sean Combs is far from over. With every new revelation, every leaked recording, and every courtroom appearance, this saga keeps evolving in ways nobody could have predicted. It's a story that has everyone completely mesmerized, not just because of who Diddy is, but because of what it reveals about the industry he helped build. So stay tuned, because if there's one thing we've learned from this absolutely wild case, it's that the truth has a way of coming out, no matter how deeply it's buried. And when it does, it just might change everything. As this saga continues to unfold, we're all left with more questions than answers. How deep do these allegations really go? Who else might be implicated? Will the entertainment industry finally have to confront its darker side, or will this scandal just fade away like so many others before it? Share your thoughts and theories in the comments below. Let's keep this conversation going and see where this absolutely insane roller coaster takes us next. Until then, stay tuned for more updates, and thanks for joining me.